Hey, Raindrops. Yes, come through. We got merch. Finally, Carlos King is giving y'all merch. We got Raindrops. Allegedly. Come on, allegedly mugs, allegedly t-shirts. We have it all. Make sure you go on carloskingshop.com. That's right, carloskingshop.com. Pick it up, tell a friend, phone a friend, and let's celebrate this all together. Now get into this video and make sure you like and subscribe to this channel and hit what? Yes, the notification button so you don't miss an episode. See ya. Hey, Raindrops. Yes, the conclusion of the Love and Marriage Huntsville season with this part 3 reunion. We have so much to unpack. And yes, I brought back the love and marriage expert, besides me, Dustin Ross.
What's up, Carlos? What's up, Raindrops? I'm so happy to be here. And damn, do we got some stuff to talk about today?
We do. We first have to talk about how great you look. You don't have on any headphones.
No headphones today. We had to clear that up. We just went through a little tech evolution over here. So, here we are. Ears out, ready to listen and speak.
Yes, and the beard is connecting.
Thank you so much, Try. It took a while, but we here. You know what I'm saying? Started out the bottom, now we here. Okay.
Absolutely. We are here. We are here. And like you said, we have so much to talk about. I mean, look, this part 3 reunion was another one full of comedy, shade, and conflict. So, of course, it began with the continuation of Miss Betty and Melody. And one thing that I think you and I said last week is you have to give Melody her props, because if Miss Betty was 20 years younger, we would see Melody handle her very differently. Melody is good at getting a mama together by still remaining respectful and a Southern belle at the same time, which I think should be applauded. Man. What was going through your mind as you were watching the continuation of those two?
Carlos, I actually had an epiphany this week. As I was listening to some of the things that Miss Betty was saying, it became evident and clear to me that, because Miss Betty mentioned that she had been in like chat rooms and forums, fan forums regarding the show since season 1. And Miss Betty is so dangerous, right? Because in some cases, like with Monica on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, people that have been a part of the fandom, right, can, in some cases, add value to or integrate into the show effectively, right? Miss Betty did not do that. What Miss Betty did was something similar to what Sweet Tea and Dr. Alicia have done on Married to Medicine. I'm not going to get too far off track, but I saw a live where the live that got that's right, Carlos. We talking about it today because there's a point here, right? When I saw the live where Sweet Tea and Dr. Heavenly were going in that, engaging in that back and forth, and Alicia and Sweet Tea were smiling and giddy while they were in the throes of what was supposed to be perceived as an argument, right? They were jokingly holding each other back and you ain't gonna get me, girl, and laughing and shit when it was a serious argument because they were excited to be standing up to somebody that they saw on TV who they felt like, if that was me, I would have said this. And they were in the moment and not even realizing that their countenance and their posturing was completely betraying their sincerity, right? So I think we saw that with Miss Betty. She's been a fan of the show, been in forums and chat rooms, arguing and forming opinions about people on the cast, and she carried that into her experience. It was completely out of place for me in her dialogue for her to say, you've been arguing with a man you've been divorced from for 3 years. That had nothing to do with what they were talking about. That was a feeling that she had already held for Melody and for her story. She's a fan of the show, and she bought that comment section fodder, which we love because it's the engine that keeps the show moving.
Yes.
But it doesn't belong on the show, and that's the difference. So there needs to be a clear boundary there, and that might look like her being on the other side of the boundary and not a part of this anymore outside of her family scenes. I think it's getting to a point now where it is a one-way street to toxicity city. Straight
Hmm.
up. There's no avoiding. I mean, how much further can she go without being checked accordingly? And then it becomes another issue, and it's just not right. So
So what you think needs to happen is you want Miss Betty to make a left turn into Stormy Still Avenue, right?
park it,
Um,
emergency brake.
the
Boot on the
emergency.
tire. Put a boot on the tire on all four tires. Take the tires off and put it on cinder blocks and just be right there on Stormy Still Avenue.
Can she
Right.
call OnStar Services, or you want her and Junior
She
to
can
hop
call
out?
anything that delivers to her. Anything she
Okay.
needs, they can come to her, but she is on house arrest. Okay, effective immediately. Don't leave. That fence. Doesn't Stormy's property have like a fence around the edge or
Oh, acres and acres and
something?
acres of it. Yes.
Yeah, rolling, beautiful, and those grounds were beautifully maintained. By the way, Stormy has a really, really nice home and a very nice property. But that's where Miss Betty needs to stay, you know. And I would love to see more of the family dynamic that we got from Stormy. Like that is the gift that keeps on giving because it's
Yes.
unlimited characters, unlimited relationships. Let's stay over there with Miss Betty and keep her away from the cast because she's not a part of the cast, and that's somebody's mama, and it's only so much you can take when they are possessing the vitriol, the passionate vitriol that she had towards Melody. So
Yeah, no, it's one of those things that is so interesting because I've said this once and I'll say it before, and this is as the creator of the show, right? Unlike most creators of shows, I appreciate the amount of love, um, whether it's a hatred at some points about the show.
yeah,
Huntsville,
yes.
Huntsville more so than DC, Bell Collective,
Mm-hmm.
Detroit, any show I've done, Huntsville is the one show I've done in my entire career that has amassed this fandom to where they have very strong opinions. And the Facebook group chats are off the chain. They read everybody. They read me. They love you, Dustin. So you let me know when your turn comes because they used to love it. I'm like, what? Wait, no, I'm in it. Carlos, I was damn. Who got it?
Shout out to
So,
Ray
but
Cross.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it. And
yeah,
I love
yeah,
all the
for
fans.
sure.
But what's interesting is you're acknowledging that as somebody who took their free time
Mm-hmm.
to involve themselves in the Facebook group chat,
Mm-hmm.
and then started to appear on the show. And as you were on Stormy Still Lane and Melody is on 7th Avenue, shameless plug. you know, so Miss Betty, Dustin wants you to stay on Stormy Still Lane, get off of 7th Avenue, and
Yes.
he wants you to get Junior to help push the car with the emergency brake back on Stormy Still Lane.
They
Got
can manage. Stormy said very emotionally that she wanted him to be a manager at Canvas. Let him manage Miss Betty first. I think that could be his first project to manage is Miss Betty. She has a very vibrant personality, and she has an opinion. So I think she's a great person to be a part of the show. I just think that there just need to be some rules and regulations, as opposed to just the chaotic freedom that we get now. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the rules and regulations
Mm-hmm.
of the Fletchers talking about what happened with their infidelity situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, did we talk about this already? What are your thoughts on the Fletchers?
I think they're great. Again, anybody that has a strong family story, you're a great addition to the show because it's multiple stories on top of the one that you're already bringing, right? We see that they have very grown kids who they have allowed to be themselves. We'll put it that way. And they bring very colorful personalities to that family dynamic. So I like the Fletchers being involved. I think that you know how you see online when they say the show villain and the real villain. I
Yes.
think Fletchers have been. Everybody thinks that Tiffany was a pot stirrer, but I think that both Chris and Nell have been stirring the pot since the day they rolled up onto Love and Marriage Huntsville. They are the ultimate pot stirrers, and they do it in the name of a mature, brotherly, sisterly, arm around your shoulder, presentation, but it is absolute pot stirring. They do it. That's why Nell was frazzled and Mel, did you cheat on Martel? Damn it, I just got it. That's where all that came from. Because she didn't mind running it right on back, and she's done that several times. And also Chris, unabashedly, you know what I'm saying? Chris will pick an outfit, put it on, and get up there and stir the shit. So I liked what they do, and I think there's never been a more fitting time for them to kind of step up in their presence on the show now in Tiffany and Lewis's absence, and Ace in their absence. Now we get the Fletchers, Chris and Nell, and they cheering. And so I'm interested to see what's going to come next season from them, because I'm sure they'll be back. So,
oh no, listen, they definitely brought a much needed storyline and presence on the show. One thing that I have intentionally done with Love and Marriage Huntsville is constantly introduce people so that the audience never felt like we're getting the same people all the time. Like Destiny LeBaric at one point, like you said, Tiffany and Lewis, Kiki. We definitely made the intention of bringing in people and not just casting people, just bringing people who really have a connection, and the Fletchers are supreme in that regard. One of the things that I felt was so interesting about this segment with the Fletchers was the conversation of how Nell dealt with Chris's cheating, and how they would have conversations with the Holts who were going through that at the time, and how Nell said to Martel, "You remind me of Chris. You're cocky, the way you dress, and your cockiness is what's going to cost you your marriage." And we saw that ultimately it did. When you were watching that, were you aware that their stories were so parallel in the sense of the infidelity struggles?
Yeah, I had made those. I saw where it would be akin to it. I saw where the stories would be akin. Absolutely. Multi child families, you know what I'm saying? Outspoken, upfront personalities in the husbands, obvious infidelities, right? Fracturing the marriage structure for temporarily. Both men had been forgiven and asked back, but Martel just fucked up one time. You know what I'm saying? And so Melody had to do what she had to do. I definitely see the similarities, which is why I think they were even in that counseling space together in the first place, because they could relate to one another. And I think that was great. Although Martel and Melody's relationship didn't work out, a shout out to them for using their village, right? And being that sense of that community for each other, where they can have a elder, to younger person, older married couple to younger married couple relationship. I think that's healthy. And I think that it's a great thing for the world to see when it comes to the way that Black couples and Black families communicate and use their resources to be solution based. You know what I mean? And not just going through a bunch of shit, but working through it some sort of way. So I love that about them. And that's why I hated to see the way that Martel was behaving on that reunion stage when it came to Chris and Nell Fletcher and even Melody. Martel kind of let me down this episode, Carlos.
Tell me how.
I think he was a runner. He's a track star. He ran from any sort of accountability whatsoever. He couldn't even admit that he had overnight company in the house in Houston. And I just wonder what all that was rooted in. I think that because Martel made such a public megawatt mistake, and did it over and over again, but this time ending in the dissolution of his marriage, I think that he is on a never-ending quest to try to not be in the wrong. Okay. And so anything that he can have possibly take accountability for that wasn't the best choice, he runs from it. And he'll try to dance around it, introduce new angles to the conversation, do whatever he can instead of just saying what it is. He obviously was not getting a massage. Melody clocked it so fast and said, well, where was the table? Step one, what was you laying on? No one comes to give massages on the bed unless you're seeking that. You know, that's a certain kind of massage that is available, but it's not what he was alluding to having gotten. And so I just, that part for me, Carlos, I just was like, man, bro, you have one opportunity to just own something and you couldn't do it. It was a little disappointing for me. And then even like the situation with Miss Nail, when you asked him if he felt like he owed her an apology, and instead of just saying, yeah, you know, and not even say, he could have just said, you know what, you're right, Carlos. Nell, I love you. I love you, Chris. I'm sorry, man. The man that even spoke to your wife like that. And Nell, I love you. I'm thankful for everything you did for me and my ex-wife. And I would never want you to feel disrespected. He could have just cleaned it up. Well, I think we can both apologize to each other. It's like, come on, bro. Like it shows what appears to be a lack of maturity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that once you start seeing him through that lens, it becomes difficult to see him as anything else. And that's where his behavior choices become so important moving forward from the mistake that he made. And I just wish that part would connect for him and we could see that in new, better choices being made from him.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I think what I really want the audience to realize is a person has to hold themselves accountable. Because, you know, what I see a lot is, Carlos, you don't hold anybody accountable. Who am I to force upon accountability on person? My job as a host, ask the questions, dig deep. This is the thing. If I dig deep to one person, God forbid I do it to them. Oh my God, you went too far with that person. Give this other person that energy, right?
Right.
But this whole accountability thing, I think is a buzzword that people are using on social media, and they don't understand what it means. And I think what you laid out so eloquently is just that. When you look at Martel and look at the obvious, right?
Right,
Somebody
right.
somebody tweeted me earlier today and said, one thing I love about Carlos' interviews is he asks all the questions and allows people to get it out. And what he does, he looks at them because he knows, like, I may not believe this, but it's not my job to call you out on it. The audience will. Like, it's the audience job to form their own opinion. So the fact that what you said is so key, like, you wanted Martel to take accountability for himself. The only reason you felt that way is because I allowed him to speak without
Right,
interruption, to get
right.
things out in his own truth. When it came to the massage thing, Marcel clocked it last week in part 2 to me about his child's mother. Like,
Yeah, for
does
sure.
she not think y'all in the relationship? So when you ask, like, just a minute, like, the girl brought no table, because I was even like, what is this about? And I'm thinking about it. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he doesn't want her to think that was going on. And again, I don't know what's going on with the two of them. But I think a lot of that weird answers, when things are just so obvious. You brought a woman back after midnight.
With a
Unless
crop shirt with a flannel shirt tied around her waist. That's not masseuse. Like, you're not even trying to.
only you, only, first of all, I cannot stand you. Only you would dissect the apparel.
Come
You,
on.
so wait, so when a woman, because I've never been with a woman.
Okay, gold
Uh,
star.
you said what?
You
Yes,
have a
I'm a
gold
gold
star.
star. And
Okay.
apparently you are a 5-star man. So allegedly. So one of the things that I want to know is, when a woman comes and sees a man after midnight and she's wearing a flannel shirt wrapped around her waist, what is she giving?
That it's coming off, I would think, or it's absolutely just. I can tell you this, right? Because we don't know what choices they made, what they did with their bodies, right? We don't know, but what we do know is she wasn't dressed to massage one. Okay, I didn't see no scrubs. I didn't see no. I didn't see the table like Melody said. I didn't see nothing of that donut you lay your face in. I didn't see none of that. You know what I'm saying? And then he just so casually. It was so lazy to me. And I just want so much more from Martel because you remember Carlos, day one fan over here, been watching
Yes.
it They went episode 1, so I have a soft spot for the core 6, and I want them all to present themselves at their best. And right now, one of them is not, and it is very disappointing to see because it's being done so intentionally, so willfully, and so lazily. And I want so much more from Martel Holt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think we all do it, and obviously, I listen. You know what's so funny? I think even Melody does, because
Yeah.
I think Melody is sort of like, wow, like just answer it. And when she said tonight, I've never met a man that was so obsessed with my vagina. Like you,
That don't belong to him anymore. Yes.
yeah, like I think we all want more from for him, but that's why I had to bring it back to when it comes to this cast, I think the beauty of a reunion is you're able to really see whether or not people can watch back a moment and
Mhm.
say to themselves, like you said, you know what, I watched it, I was wrong, I apologize, let me keep it moving. Or
Yep.
whether or not they feel like, no, I'm gonna stand on what I said 10 toes down. And I
Yeah.
think you're kind of seeing that a lot with him. And one thing I think we saw even within that section is, and I'm curious what you think.
Okay.
Last season reunion, Melody didn't say a word. Like it
Mhm.
was zip tied. I was like,
Beautiful, stunningly beautiful, but she didn't say
gorgeous,
it.
bone straight. Give me you,
Yeah.
Sierra, baby. Come
Yes.
on. I called myself Dr. Heavenly because I was trying to pull teeth
Uh-huh.
out
Uh-huh.
of male. Like, so you ain't gonna answer no questions, child. But
Uh-huh.
this reunion, she was so fun and so light. And what I said to them afterwards was, I said, I really do feel that you're past all of this. And we'll get into more of that on tomorrow when she and I go live in Huntsville. But I really in that reunion felt like she really is like, I'm past all of this.
It's an evolved woman, and that's a woman who has really been real with herself and accepted things for what they are. You could absolutely see a calmness. You could see she was self-assured. She was participating and comfortable, but still unwilling to go to certain depths. She was just, she presided. That's what she did. She sat on that stage and she presided as she should. She anchored that cast on that stage. Shout out to Letitia because Letitia did a great job this reunion too. After watching
Absolutely.
all 3 parts, Letitia was, I have never seen her more present, never seen her more clear. And I loved everything about how she expressed herself during this reunion. Everything about it. I thought Letitia did great. Also, I know we're hopping all over the place, but
Go
further
right
to your
ahead.
point about people using the reunion as a space to say, hey, I watched this, so here's where I'm at with it now. Shout out to Stormy Steele, because when her mother was doing what she was doing in conversation with Melody, Stormy was like, you know what, Mama, stop. She was like, look, Melody, and she just laid it out, and Melody received it, and that is what the reunion is about to me. That's what it's about. Even Courtney, when he told Maurice, he was like, man, just back her up. She just wants you to back her up. That's it. Like, just
Yes.
wow. Like, it was simple. You know what I mean? And maybe we should, when you're ready, we could dive into Maurice.
No. We could dive into it now, but before we do that, I wanna just say this about the Stormy Melody thing. I could not agree more.
Yeah.
I loved when Stormy said to her, like, look, did I feel like you should have said something about the tweets? Yeah, but guess what? It's all good. We have no beef, and you built something. When she said, look, you built this, bitch, like, let's
Yeah.
be giving her flowers. Like, look, Loki, we all here because you had a meeting with Carlos. Like,
Yeah.
let's be
All the
clear.
way 100. Hell, yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, so I'm hopeful. And I do mean this. I loved it just as much as you did, Dustin. And I'm hopeful that Melody and Stormy can move past it. And I do believe there's a chance and a possibility that it can, because there's no need for them to have a beef, because my mother watched you on TV before she got on the show, and I love you, Miss Betty. And now Miss Betty gets to be like, I'm face to face with you and not a keyboard thug anymore. Like, imagine coming face
That's
to
what
face
that
with the
was.
person. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got haters. If our haters were able to be in front of our faces, I mean, granted, they're gonna love us. But I think it's that excitement, like, I get to read you. So yeah.
Yep.
But no,
Yep.
go ahead. Maurice.
That's what I thought. Okay, so Maurice, I the section about the section when they were talking about co-parenting Monster, right? Their son, who we've seen them have successful co-parenting, in the past. We've never really seen them have an issue parenting Monster until now, right? And we didn't even see it on screen. We're seeing them discuss it, which I thought was great. We didn't, it wasn't at the expense of Monster, you know what I mean? That we got that story. So shout out to the producers over there. But anyway, I know Maurice is an attorney, right? His Juris Doctorate, and I think that he was approaching that he was arguing a point as opposed to listening, and it began to be frustrating, which is why I think Courtney, who don't give a damn about none of this and is there supporting his woman, okay, and participating, he's a great participant and he to me is what Dr. Damon does with Heavenly over on Married to Medicine. He's there. He's got her back. He's not getting in the mess. Really, he'll have a conversation if he needs to, like what he had at Black with Marceau and what he said on this stage to Maurice. I just think it's different. But Maurice was not listening, and I don't know if even at the end of that conversation he got the point that Kimberly was just asking for some support. That's it. And he was trying to get us to understand why he was being withdrawn, I guess, instead of stepping in there and backing her up in those moments. And no one wanted to hear that. We all wanted him to hear the point. And so I really hope that after seeing this, and I'm sure that these wonderfully connected Love and Marriage Huntsville fans will get that point home to him in their own special way, that, bro, you just have to sometimes soften your edge just a little bit when it comes to Kimmy. And I think that after seeing the conversation that they had earlier this year about the lack of desire and his issue with that and the response he got from that, I would think that he would have kind of maybe seen that there was an opportunity for him to be a little different in the way that he handles Kimmy. So I hope that, and I don't think that he got the point through that. So maybe after seeing this part 3 air and people respond to his lack of understanding or being unwilling to even understand what Kimmy was saying in that moment, maybe it'll be driven home to him at this point. Because I think Kimmy and Maurice actually have a great relationship. He just needs to start listening. And she keeps saying that in different ways over and over and over and over and over again. So I wish he would stop trying to win an argument and just start listening sometimes. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. And one thing that we tease Maurice about, I love you, Maurice, is the fact that Maurice thinks he's the smartest person in the room. And the gag is, he is.
He is. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, he is. He's a literal lawyer. He's very smart.
But Dustin, valedictorian of law school.
Right. Like top of his class. He's brilliant. Maurice is brilliant.
Maurice is a very educated, brilliant mind. So the one thing we tease Maurice about, because Maurice is a genius, right? Maurice thinks he knows everything. And the difference between Marceau, his brother, and Maurice, Marceau is street smart. So Marceau's soliloquies, his analogies is all rooted in the streets, which is why I was like, you calling someone sexist, Marceau is rich. Like
rich. I love that. Yeah, that's rich. Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, boy. With Maurice, to your point, because Maurice is a genius, Maurice doesn't listen because this is the thing about Maurice. And I told Maurice this. As you're talking to Maurice, Maurice is cultivating an answer in his mind. Yeah. And Maurice is struggling to get it out because he wants you to shut up. Like, he wants to answer it before you can even like form the question, because that's how his mind works. And I think Kimmy's frustration is, damn, motherfucker, can I just tell you what is obvious? But because Maurice has always been book smart and he literally does know everything in terms of the his
Academic.
profession.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to like that life stuff, Maurice has he doesn't have the capacity to sit still, listen, allow his heart to bleed, and say, oh, because I didn't interrupt you, I've listened to you. And I think that's what Kimmy wants.
Yeah, I do too. I also think that there's an element of sensitivity there that doesn't exist with his brother Marceau. I think that Marceau can kind of take the heat in a way. Marceau doesn't. I'm not going to say he doesn't mind the attention or the focus being on him in an area that he may not be comfortable with, but he at least puts up a good front, right? That he can roll with the punches. He's a good sport when it comes to his portion. I think that if Maurice is accused of something that may not be the best or may not put him in the best light, I think that he goes into defense mode, which is when he stops listening instead of approaching he doesn't approach, well, he appears to not approach most of these conversations with a view toward resolution. He appears to come into the conversation with a view toward defending what he already feels is the right perspective. And I think that a shift in that way would be really beneficial to him, his relationships, you know what I'm saying, his listening skills, all those things. Because you're right, Maurice Scott is brilliant. Okay, yeah. Very brilliant. And I think that that is why we have an expectation from him, you know, at the level that we do, because we recognize how smart he is. So
what is the expectation you have of Kiki after watching tonight's reunion?
To entertain me. That's the expectation I have with Kiki. Kiki is with the shits and she is funny. And there's gonna be one in every, you know, family, every cast, every room, and the one is Kiki. That's who it is. Kiki is willing to jump into the ropes. If the ropes are turning, Kiki does not mind jumping in, double dutching, spinning around, hopping on one foot. She don't mind doing none of that. All of that. The chance, January, February, jump on in. She don't mind any of that. Okay. She loves it and she's with it. Kiki entertained me. I hate seeing her. You're so crazy, Carla.
Not January.
Yeah, you remember that? January, February, jump on in, because okay, you know it, Carlos.
And they go around like
yeah.
And the girls have the pigtails with their barrettes. Girl, I got this,
okay.
man.
Lying, okay?
Yes.
That's what Kiki is willing to do. And you need that. She's a necessary component to this cast. I do wish her and Letitia the best. I hope, you know, I told you before, I want to see resolution there, that family. So they have got to get it back on the same page, if at all possible. You're not obligated to be in relationship with someone just because you're related to them, but it would be nice if you could be, especially when you know that they had not only a cousin relationship, but they were friends. So, you know, we would want to see them kind of figure it out. But hey, if Kiki has an axe to grind, she does not mind grinding it, and I love to see it. And I've been told you that day it was horrible what happened between her and Letitia, but her silhouette when she had on that orange sleeveless number with that hair over her side and she got up from that table, I was like, okay, Kiki is here. This is, yeah, Kiki has arrived. So think about Kiki, you know what I'm saying? And I want to see more of Kiki's story. I want to see Kiki as a mom. We haven't seen her as a mom. I want to see that. I want to see Kiki and her, now that we know that Kiki and her husband have, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Now that we know that Kiki and have had, you know, some sort of disconnects in the past in their marriage, I think it'll be interesting to see them talk about that and work through see where they are right now. And now that we know now that that portal into their marriage has been open, I know I have a lot of questions. I'm sure that, you know, the powers that be do as well. So I'm interested in seeing more of that. You know what I mean? Let's really, we see Kiki, we see this situation, we see her on Crime Stoppers and all this stuff. Let's dig into who Kiki is and give her a chance. Well, we do, but let's dig into why.
Allegedly.
Let's get into who Kiki is. Let's get into who the person is. I would like to know. Yeah. Yeah, Carla. We saw her. She had a beanie on and she had a Louis Vuitton. What's that bag called? A Neverfull, a Louis Vuitton Neverfull. And she was coming on out, you know? She was. But I like Kiki. You need your oxygen. You got that out that bag she had. Yeah, but
I'm done.
I want to know more about Kiki.
Baby,
We love you,
I
baby.
don't know I don't know too many chicks go to Home Depot, honey, with the Louis bag, honey. I just
What Trina say? Go in broke, leave out with bread. Okay. That's right. But hey,
not you reciting the Diamond Princess.
I'm in Princess. Okay. That's what
Yes.
Kiki is our princess. She is a new addition to the cast that fits in. Her mumbling to Marceau after their section ended. You a lying bitch. You know that you a lying bitch. Marceau gave it right back to her. And Letitia, who has had it. Okay. She said, bitch, won't
Up
come on.
to here.
Oh, baby. Letitia said, enough. Okay.
Not
And she
not 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 event, but enough.
enough. And she
All
came
right.
on that stage and she said, you know what? Here we go. Letitia came out on that stage, cracked her knuckles, moved her chin from one side of her neck to the next, and handled her business. And you got to give it up to her for someone who has been long painted as not having a voice and not being strong and not being strong enough to speak for herself. She did. She did. She did. She did. You can't deny that.
Let me
Yep.
tell you something. Um, in the 6 years of this show, I have never been more proud of Kiki. I mean, not Kiki, Tisha, Lord Jesus. In the six.
Look, she done stole the moment too.
I know, Lord, the ghost of Kiki has invaded my body, child.
Kiki just
In the
stole your
six,
words.
I mean, in my defense, they look like. There
I
you
know.
go. Okay.
Oh,
No, in
pretty.
the 6 years of this show, I have never been more proud of Tisha. First of all, Tisha looked gorgeous doing it.
Yes, she did.
Gorgeous,
Yes, she did. Yep, that green was
gorgeous.
gorgeous.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Mm,
She
But
wasn't even
no,
having with myself. What she telling backstage? Okay, well, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one. Because I'm gonna say what I want to say on that stage. And I was like, Tisha, girl,
I
this is
love
what you
it.
do.
I love it.
That's
All the girls know, like, all right, Tisha has arrived, honey. We know what we're in store for next season.
mm-hmm.
Um, do you think Kiki used Tisha and her situation with Marcel to get on the show?
Yeah.
And okay, do you think Kiki chose the show over Tisha?
In some regards, yes. I think I'm not gonna say she chose the show over her. I think that for me, I think that Kiki was willing to cross certain lines of transparency related to personal matters between them that Letitia may not have been willing to do. And so Kiki didn't give a damn about going on that show saying your husband's cheating, he had a threesome with such naming names, whatever, and going there. And as you can see on part 3 of this reunion, Letitia wasn't. She even held back today. She said, "You know what? I'm not even gonna say it's not for me to tell her business." And Marcel said, "I ain't never told nobody's business since I've been on this show. We ain't doing it, but we know what's going on." And they were acting as if there was something they still weren't willing to tell. They were still protecting her in some way. And I think that there's a willingness to do that on their behalf that is not present on Kiki's behalf. And that's why people say she chose the show over Letitia. You understand? Because she was willing to go further when it came to disrespect, when it came to telling each other's business. She was more willing to do that than Letitia was and presently is, according to what we saw today. So I think that's where people get that from. But
Yeah, no, that's a good point. This reunion, like I said, this entire reunion is my favorite from the Huntsville cast because
absolutely,
it's what you said earlier, the chemistry they had, the fact that they all were able to engage. Even when it was shady, it was still funny, and they all kind of clocked each other's fun shade and threw each other a ball, like, catch that, I caught it, I'm gonna throw it back at you. That to me is what makes a perfect reunion. And of all the reunions I've done, I think this one will go down as my favorite because I like reunions where I get to laugh and have fun with them, and we get to talk about, tough things, and, reading happens, shade happens, but this was the first reunion from Huntsville where I felt like everybody can move on. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, how can this show continue next season with these people in a bad place? I think everybody's in a place of like, we can move on to the next one. And I'm excited to see where this show goes next season.
I am beyond excited to see where this show goes next season. I think there's a lot of open doors of communication that exists right now amongst the cast, and that's a great place for them to be in as they start filming the next season, or if they currently are, I'm not sure, but that they left the reunion stage in a great position to go back to telling these stories, and ultimately that is a job well done for an ensemble cast on a reality television program. So kudos to everybody involved. Kimmy reigning, holding court as Kimmy, and as only she can. It was good to see her healthy and happy, and feeling good. Kimmy is in all of our hearts. So I just want to take the moment and give Kimmy some love. Much love to her. Much love to Tiffany on her journey and sending her good energy and good vibes. And I walk away from this reunion thoroughly entertained and with my palms up for the next helping of Love and Marriage. Okay? That's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Dustin. And look, next week we have the premiere of Love and Marriage DC. And we have the next, I don't know if it's 10, 12 episodes. We also have multiple reunions. This upcoming season with the rest of the episodes of DC is super good. We are continuing with the Christmas Eve party. Joy versus Ashley. And let's just say, when it comes to DC, what I will leave you guys with is this. You never can predict what's about to happen. You just can't.
We can see that because Winter and Ashley doing a YouTube video together. And I was like, yo, and not only did I see them doing a YouTube video together, the chemistry amongst them, they were real off the show in real life. Us being who we are, we really are friends. That was a real friendship I saw. And it was a very unlikely duo. And we love seeing shit like that. So I am excited for DC. I got a special place in my heart for Ashley Silva. I feel like she's a natural born reality television personality. Yeah. Natural, 100%. And I can't wait to see more of the entire cast. I love that DC so I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. No, Ashley, I always tell people there's certain people, in my opinion, that were just born to be on reality television. Like, how like some people, like, you're born to be a doctor. In my opinion, there's certain people who were born to be on reality TV. And I think Ashley is definitely one of them. And you're right. You're going to see her and Winter and Irena and Joy and Carmen from Ready to Love.
I'm excited.
Carmen is so funny and shady, and I love her. Y'all didn't tell me Carmen was that girl. That's all I'm gonna say, baby. Carmen?
I'm excited.
Oh, Dustin.
Mm-hmm. New players. So we got some new strong players this season, huh? Mm-hmm.
Yes, no, the girls are doing their thing. The guys are too. Listen, I'm saying a lot already. I want you guys to watch it January 27th at 8:00. Love and Marriage DC is back. And who knows, maybe I will, I don't know, have a surprise for you guys coming up so that we can keep this thing going. So you make sure you guys like and subscribe to this channel, because you never know what you're going to get with a few announcements that is on your way.
I love you, Raindrops, and Carlos, I love you, my friend.
Yes, no, I love you too, Dustin, and I will see you soon.
She will.